temptation attacks everybody. Anticipate it. Be ready. 1 Corinthians 10, no temptation has come upon you except what is common to humanity. Sometimes people have the idea that, like, once I get to a certain point, once I get to a certain age, I won't be tempted. Now, sometimes temptations will change. You're tempted maybe by different things when you're 70 years old than when you're 17 years old. But the temptations are still there. I love that old story about that old wise priest. The young man came to him and said, "Sir, tell me, when will I cease to be tempted by the flesh?" And the wise old priest said, "Son, I wouldn't trust myself till I'd been dead 3 days." You're going to be tempted. Don't be surprised by that. Be ready for it. So you can overcome it then, you have to be ready with sexual sin to run. You got to have a plan. Flee sexual immorality, 1 Corinthians 6. 2 Timothy 2:22, flee youthful passions and pursue righteousness. What's the plan? Patient went to an old doctor and said, "Doc, I broke my arm in 2 places. What should I do?" Old country doctor said, "Well, if I were you, I wouldn't go to those places anymore." Thank you. I thought that was hysterical. 2 of us really like that. But that's pretty good. You want to overcome temptation? Don't go to those places anymore, right? Don't toy with those temptations anymore. Temptation, I love this picture. Temptation is kind of like the rock at the top of a hill. Where's the best place to fight that temptation? What people tend to do is they kind of toy with it. Let's get it kind of as close to the side of the hill as we can, Or they let the temptation, the rock, start rolling down the hill, and they find themselves, I just can't resist temptation. I just can't resist them. The best place to fight temptation is before it ever moves off the top. Don't go to those places. What's the plan to run away? One woman wrote of what she learned after falling to sexual temptation. Christian woman said, "It may begin as just a little flirting in the office. It's innocent enough, you reason. Some secret flirtatious text, maybe a photo is exchanged. Maybe you've known each other for a while and as family with family, so the phone calls that you're making are not unreasonable at the beginning. But then a line gets crossed. Your God-given conscience tells you, but you keep going. Each of us is tempted in different ways depending on what our weak points may be. Beware of your weak points. What are your vulnerabilities? But regarding an affair, sin's deception tells you this must be love. How can God say it's wrong? Did God really say that adultery is always sin? If God is love, how could he make me feel this love toward this person? But sin's whole goal is to ruin your life. All while you're thinking, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. You'll start to become deceived by the lies that you're hearing, because once you've crossed the line, the enemy has an open door to your life, and you can't listen to the voice of Satan while listening. You can't listen to the voice of God while you're listening to the voice of Satan. You've basically told God, I want to follow your ways. Your heart will start to grow cold toward God, your spouse, your family, and everything good. Deceitfulness of sin has taken root. It didn't happen suddenly, but it happens because you don't have a plan to run. What's the plan? What are the healthy boundaries that you're going to build around yourself? I have a minister friend who was telling me about a time a woman came into his office, a woman was seeking advice, and she said, I need to ask you about, she said, years ago I had an affair, was unfaithful to my husband. I told him and repented. She said, but now my husband is encouraging me to have another affair and to tell him about it. Apparently he found that exciting. My friend who's tall and not bad looking said, Brett, I don't know, but I had a sense that she was not so much seeking his advice as she was fishing for my response. So immediately he responded, you need to find a mature, godly woman that you can share this with and make yourself accountable to her. End of conversation, moved on. Are you ready to shut it down? Are you ready to run? Can a man embrace fire and his clothes not be burned? We set up staff boundaries for that reason. Joseph had to lose a good coat. Sometimes it may mean you have to lose a good job or the place you work out or activities that you've been doing. You have to change plans. You have to change friends. Maybe you even have to change a church. But again, it's better to lose that coat than to lose your family or your character and to live a life of regret.